I totally get that. I sometimes feel stressed by the amount of stuff we have to learn. I think I need to break bigger tasks down into smaller, easier bits. I'm also trying to take more breaks and look after myself more to avoid burnout. What do you do to chill out when exams are coming up?
I go to the gym. Seriously, working out really helps me with stress. I also try to make time for fun stuff, like seeing a movie or hanging with friends, to get my mind off studying. It's all about balance, I think. You can't just study all the time.
I watch loads of my favorite shows, which isn't the best thing to do, but it helps me relax. I also try to get enough sleep, which is hard when it's exam time. If you don't sleep, everything gets worse. Oh, and I like to study with my friends, because, well, misery loves company.
Three students are discussing struggling with academic writing at university.
I'm finding academic writing so tough this semester. I just can't seem to get my ideas across clearly on paper, and my grades are suffering. I think it's the structure that gets me the most. I end up rambling and never really making a solid point. It's frustrating because I understand the material. I just can't articulate it well.
I totally get that. For me, it's the research. Finding credible sources and then, putting them into my writing without plagiarizing is a nightmare. I spend more time worrying about citations than actually writing the paper. And honestly, just understanding what counts as good research is half the battle, you know?
You both hit on my biggest struggles. But I also think about how much there is to do. It feels like every class needs massive research paper. Trying to balance that with everything else, like exams and stuff, is impossible. I start procrastinating because it feels so overwhelming, and then I end up rushing and doing a bad job.
Maybe we should look into the writing center. I've heard mixed reviews, but it could be worth a shot. They offer workshops on things like structuring essays and, proper citation, which might help us both, Chris. Or we could form a study group and read each other's papers before we hand them in. Fresh eyes can often catch things we miss ourselves.
I'm down for study group. I've been meaning to try that. The writing center sounds good too, although I worry it'll be super busy so close to the deadline. I did hear from a friend that the library has research skills workshops. Maybe focusing on finding better sources could take some of the pressure off.
I'm in on both. Study group would definitely help with feeling so overwhelmed. Just having someone to bounce ideas off of could make a huge difference. And anything that makes my research better is win. I'll check out the library workshops, and Sarah, maybe you can check out the writing center?
Deal. I'll look into the writing center and tell you what I find out. We could even set specific goals for our study group sessions, like outlining an essay or proofreading, like a certain number of pages. Having a structured approach might make it less scary.
That sounds like a solid plan. I think breaking down the writing process into smaller steps will make a huge difference. I'm actually feeling more optimistic already. Plus, misery loves company, right? It's good to know we are all in the same boat.
Absolutely. And knowing we are actually working on getting better is a huge confidence booster. I'm actually excited to start the next paper now. Let's figure out our schedules and get this study group going.
Three students are discussing revising for midterm exams at university.
Okay, so midterms are coming up. How's everyone planning to, deal with all this stuff we have to learn? I'm honestly feeling a bit overwhelmed. I've tried making a study schedule, but it already fell apart. Does anyone have, a secret weapon or a study trick they wanna share?
I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of studying, then a 5-minute break. It helps me not get totally burnt out and keeps me focused. Plus, I actually get up and leave my desk during breaks, otherwise, it doesn't really work. I also like using flashcards, especially for subjects with tons of definitions and stuff.
Flashcards are great for memorizing things, for sure. I prefer concept mapping. It helps me see the big picture and how everything's connected. I don't think just rereading notes is enough. I need to, really get into the material. Have you guys tried that before? Sometimes I feel like I'm just staring at the page, hoping the information will magically jump into my head.
Concept mapping sounds interesting. I might try that. But I think my main problem is staying focused. I always get distracted by my phone or social media. It's like my brain's trying to ruin my study time. Do you guys have any tips for, avoiding distractions? I've even tried turning off my phone, but I still grab it without even thinking.
There are apps that can block websites and apps that distract you for a certain amount of time. That might help with the phone thing. Also, try finding a place to study where there aren't a lot of distractions, like the library or a quiet spot in the student union. And make sure you are sleeping enough and eating well. It's easy to forget about taking care of yourself when you are stressed, but it really makes a difference.
I totally agree with Liam about taking care of yourself. And I think studying with a friend or in a small group can help you stay motivated and, keep each other on track. We can quiz each other and explain stuff, which really helps you understand it better. Plus, it's just less boring than studying by yourself. Maybe we could even do that sometime this week.
That's a great idea, Arya. I'm in. I could really use a study buddy to keep me focused. Plus, explaining things to someone else is a good way to see if I really get it. I'm free most evenings after class. What about you, Sarah? Wanna do group study session?
Yeah, I'm definitely in. Studying with you two would be awesome. Maybe we can meet in the library on Wednesday evening? Oh, and I found some old practice midterms online. We could use those too. Just having you guys to, talk things through with would be super helpful.
Perfect. Wednesday evening sounds good. Practice midterms are a great idea too. Let's meet around 6 p.m., grab some coffee, and then get to work. This might actually be a good midterm season after all. Thanks for these study tips and getting me motivated, guys. I'm feeling a lot better about this now.
Three students are discussing online versus in-person classes at university.
Honestly, I think online classes are just way more convenient, especially if you have a part-time job. You can totally fit your lectures around your own schedule, and there's no wasted time commuting at all. Plus, it's great if you like learning on your own, cause you really have to be disciplined.
Yeah, I get why it's convenient, but I really miss the in-person stuff. It's so much easier to just ask questions straight away in a lecture, and group discussions feel way more natural face-to-face. And also, the vibe on campus just feels more, helpful for learning.
Yeah, I totally agree with Liam. I mean, online is flexible, but I've just found it really hard to stay focused sometimes, There are just so many distractions at home, and I feel a bit, cut off from my classmates and teachers. It's super easy to fall behind if you are not always checking emails and those platforms.
That's a fair point about distractions. But honestly, for me, the flexibility is just way more important. I can rewatch lectures if I miss something, which, you can't do in a live class. And also, for quieter students, being able to join online forums can be way less scary than speaking up in a big lecture hall.
Yeah, rewatching lectures is definitely a big plus. But I also feel like you really miss out on those spontaneous chats and, meeting people on campus. Those informal talks after class or in the library are super valuable for making connections and understanding different viewpoints,
Exactly. The social side is just huge, isn't it? University isn't just about, the lessons, it's about the whole experience. You can build study groups way more easily, and getting immediate feedback, or if you need something explained, it's just simpler when you're in the same room as your professor.
I guess, hybrid model might be the best idea then. You could have some lectures online for flexibility, but keep workshops, labs, and tutorials in person. That way, we get the best of both worlds without completely losing out on the campus experience.
Yeah, a hybrid approach sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, at the end of the day, different students just do well in different environments. Some really need the structure of in-person classes, while others prefer the freedom that online learning gives them. Universities should totally offer more options, depending on the course and what students actually need.
I totally agree with that. For me, just being on campus, even for a few days a week, makes a huge difference to my motivation and how much I get involved. It's hard to beat that feeling of being part of a really lively university community, you know?
Three students are discussing different note-taking methods at university.
So, I've been trying out different ways to take notes lately, and I'm not really sure which one works best. I tried the Cornell method, but it feels a little too structured for me. You know? What about you guys? What do you usually do?
I'm a big fan of mind mapping, actually. It really helps me see how all the ideas connect and get the bigger picture. I usually start with the main idea in the middle and then branch out from there. Plus, it's not as linear as regular note-taking, which keeps me way more interested. It's especially helpful in subjects where things are really connected, like history or philosophy.
I've tried mind mapping before, but I think it's a bit messy, to be honest. I usually prefer outlining. It's just simple and easy, and it helps me keep everything organized logically. I use different headings and subheadings to structure my notes, which makes it easy to look back at them later.
Yeah, I get why you'd like outlining, but sometimes I feel like I'm just writing down exactly what the professor says without really thinking about it. With the Cornell method, I have to sum things up and think about what it all means, which helps me understand it better. Maybe I should give it another shot.
That's a good point, Sarah. I think the main thing is to find what works for you and the subject you're studying. I use mind mapping when we are brainstorming in my creative writing class, but I switch to something more straightforward for statistics. Different subjects need different things, don't you think?
Definitely. I also think it helps to mix and match different methods. For example, I might use outlining to structure my notes, but then add colors or symbols to make them more interesting. Or, I might use the Cornell method in lectures, but then just take freehand notes when we are having group discussions.
That's a great idea. Elise, I hadn't even thought about doing that. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Being able to change my note-taking depending on what's going on. I try to be more open to trying new things and see what works best for each class. It might also help if I looked at my notes more often to really remember what I've learned.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to play around with your method until it feels right. I've even seen people using note-taking apps that let you type, draw, and record audio all in one place. Whatever helps you understand and remember things, right? It's all about finding the right tools for how you learn best.
Agreed. And don't forget how important it is to really listen. No matter what you are doing with your notes, it's important to pay attention during the lecture or discussion. That way, your notes.
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe to related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
Three students are discussing experiences with peer tutoring at university.
I've actually had a really good experience with peer tutoring. Last semester, I was struggling with advanced calculus, and my tutor really helped me get concepts I just couldn't understand from lectures. They explained things in a way that made so much more sense to me, kind of like translating what professors say into everyday student language. It really helped my confidence in that subject.
That's great to hear. I was actually a peer tutor for an intro programming course last year, and it was surprisingly good for me too. Teaching someone else really makes you understand the material better yourself. I found myself going back to review things I thought I already knew, just so I could explain them clearly.
Speaker 13, I'm a bit more unsure about formal peer tutoring. I've always found it more helpful to just study with friends or classmates and explain things to each other if someone's stuck. It feels less like a formal lesson and more like working together. And there's less pressure to perform for someone who's officially tutoring you.
I can see your point about the pressure, but I think the way formal peer tutoring is set up is what made it so effective for me. We had specific sessions, and the tutor had been trained on how to teach. With friends, it can sometimes just turn into actually breaking down the problem step by step.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I've just always preferred that informal, flexible way. When I'm learning with friends, I feel more comfortable saying what I don't know without feeling judged. Answers together, or just take a break, which you might not feel as comfortable doing in more formal setting.
From the tutor's side, it can also be tricky to balance. You want to guide them, but you can't just give them the answers or do their work for them. I had a few students who just wanted me to tell them what to write, and I had to learn how to gently push them towards finding the solutions.
That's a really good point, Chris. I think the key is finding the right peer tutor who knows how to help you learn, not just give you answers. It's not just about knowing the subject. It's also about being able to teach it well and change your approach for different learning styles. Some subjects might also work better with it than others. That's a really good point, Chris. I think the key is finding the right peer tutor who knows how to help you learn, not just give you answers. It's not just about knowing the subject. It's also about being able to teach it well and change your approach for different learning styles. Some subjects might also work better with it than others.
Absolutely. Some students learn well with visual explanations, others need to write things out, and some just need to talk through it. Changing your approach quickly is a challenge. It really showed how different learning can be.
So I guess it really comes down to what you prefer and how good the program or the person is. If you find a good match, whether it's formal or informal, it can be super helpful. It's definitely a good thing to have when you are struggling, no matter how you get it.
Three students are discussing choosing university electives at university.
I'm so stressed about picking my electives for next semester. There are just so many, and I don't want to choose something I'll regret. You know? I mean, it's a whole semester. It's hard to know if something's going to be interesting or useful until you're actually in the class. I've also heard some electives have way more work than others, which I definitely want to avoid. Has anyone else started thinking about this?
Yeah, I've been looking at the list. It's pretty overwhelming, right? I'm trying to find something that goes well with my major but isn't too much work. I'm thinking about that intro to film studies class. It sounds kind of fun and might be a nice break from all the technical stuff. Plus, I heard the professor is really good, which makes a big difference. What about you?
I need to pick something that'll help my career, but also keep me interested. I was thinking about taking a business analytics course because it seems pretty useful and in demand right now. The thing is, I'm not sure if I'll find it interesting, you know? I don't want to get stuck in a class I hate going to every week. It's such a big commitment.
That sounds cool. I hadn't really thought about the interdisciplinary ones. Maybe I should look more widely. I'm also a little worried about the workload. Have you guys looked into what the assignments are like for any of these? I've heard some electives have tons of reading or group projects, and I really want to avoid that if I can. I already have enough to do with my major.
Good point, Charlie. Workload is definitely a big deal. I heard the business analytics course I mentioned has a huge group project, which I'm not too happy about. Maybe I should look into something more individual. I saw a creative writing elective that could be fun and a good way to chill out. Plus, it might help me get better at communicating, which is always useful no matter what job I get.
Creative writing sounds amazing. Together, it would be fun to know someone in the class. As for the environmental policy course, I think I'll try to talk to some students who have taken it before to get a better idea of how much work it is and what the professor is like. That might help me decide.
That's a great idea, Sarah. Talking to other students is always a good move. I think I'll do some more research on the film studies class and see if I can find any reviews online. If it seems doable and the professor is good, I'll probably go for it. I think a little fun and relaxation is exactly what I need next semester.
Okay, I'm officially changing my mind. I'm going to focus on what I'm interested in, not just what's good for my career. I'll check out the creative writing course and maybe a few others that sound fun. Thanks for the help, guys. It's good to know I'm not the only one stressing about this. Good luck with your choices.
Three students are discussing getting help during office hours at university.
I'm finding it so hard to, really get the most out of office hours. I mean, I go, but sometimes I feel like I'm not even asking the right questions. Like, I'm missing something basic before I can even say what I need help with. It's kind of intimidating, especially when there are other students waiting.
I get that. I think a lot of students feel the same way. The problem is, office hours are often scheduled right when you have another class, or you are just, totally exhausted after a long day. It's hard to be prepared. I end up just showing up hoping the professor can, magically figure out what I'm struggling with.
Maybe we should try to be more prepared before we go? Actually write down specific questions or problems we are working on. That way, we won't waste time trying to figure out what to ask. It could make the whole thing easier for us and the professor. Plus, it'll probably make us feel less nervous, too.
That's a good idea, Arya. I've also heard that some professors are easier to talk to than others. Maybe we should try to find out which professors are known for being helpful and patient during office hours. It might make a big difference in how comfortable we feel asking questions. And, maybe go when it's not so busy.
True. I've definitely felt rushed. Super busy. Maybe we could also try to work together before going to office hours. Like, form a small study group where we can, brainstorm questions and work through problems together. Then, we can go to the professor with better questions.
I like that. A study group could really help. And maybe we should also think about using other stuff besides just office hours. Like the tutoring center or online forums. Sometimes, getting a different way of seeing things can make all the difference. It's not just about the professor.
Arya. Sometimes, I feel like I'm only thinking about getting the professor's approval, but there are actually tons of other things we could use. We should definitely try harder to check those out. It's about, taking charge of our own learning.
Okay, so next time, let's try to get specific questions ready beforehand too. Like, brainstorm. I think that would really help us use office hours better. Plus, it'll make us feel more confident, too.
Sounds like a plan. We could even schedule study session every week before office hours. That way, we are all on the same page and can help each other out. Let's make getting help during office hours less scary and more useful. I'm in.
Three students are discussing online versus in-person classes at university.
Honestly, I think online classes are just way more convenient, especially if you have a part-time job. You can totally fit your lectures around your own schedule, and there's no wasted time commuting at all. Plus, it's great if you like learning on your own, cause you really have to be disciplined.
Yeah, I get why it's convenient, but I really miss the in-person stuff. It's so much easier to just ask questions straight away in a lecture, and group discussions feel way more natural face-to-face. And also, the vibe on campus just feels more, helpful for learning.
Yeah, I totally agree with Liam. I mean, online is flexible, but I've just found it really hard to stay focused sometimes, There are just so many distractions at home, and I feel a bit, cut off from my classmates and teachers. It's super easy to fall behind if you are not always checking emails and those platforms.
That's a fair point about distractions. But honestly, more important. I can rewatch lectures if I miss something, which, you can't do in a live class. And also, for quieter students, than speaking up in a big lecture hall.
Yeah, rewatching lectures is definitely a big plus. But I also feel like you really miss out on those spontaneous chats and, meeting people on campus. Those informal talks after class or in the library are super valuable for making connections and understanding different viewpoints,
Exactly. The social side is just huge, isn't it? University isn't just about, the lessons, it's about the whole experience. You can build study groups way more easily, and getting immediate feedback, or if you need something explained, it's just simpler when you're in the same room as your professor.
I guess, hybrid model might be the best idea then. You could have some lectures online for flexibility, but keep workshops, labs, and tutorials in person. That way, we get the best of both worlds without completely losing out on the campus experience.
I totally agree with that. For me, just being on campus, even for a few days a week, makes a huge difference to my motivation and how much I get involved. It's hard to beat that feeling of being part of a really lively university community,
Okay, so we are all set for our presentation next week, right? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, to be honest. I've started drafting my slides, but I'm not sure if I'm focusing on the right things. I'm also worried about the time limit. It's tough to get everything into just 10 minutes. Has anyone got any tips for, how to structure it well?
Definitely. I think the key thing is to start with a really good opening that grabs everyone's attention. Then, break your main points down into smaller chunks, easier to handle. Don't try to put too much stuff on each slide. I think using visuals, like graphs or images, really helps keep people interested. And the most important thing is practice. You don't want to be, stumbling over your words on the day.
I agree with Liam about practicing for sure. I usually record myself giving the presentation, and then I watch it back to see where I can make it better. It's awful, but it really does help. For the content, I think it's good to start by outlining your main arguments, even before you make the slides. What's the main thing you are trying to say? It's easy to get lost in the details, but that'll help you stay on track.
That's a really good idea. Laura, about doing the outline first. I usually just jump right into the details, and then I have trouble making it all make sense together. I'm also a bit nervous about the Q&A part afterwards. What if I don't know an answer? Any ideas on how to get ready for that?
Think about the questions people might ask and have some answers ready, even if they're just rough. It's also okay to say you don't know, but you'll find out. 2. Engage with them and show that you are thinking about the topic. Don't freak out if you get stuck, it happens to everyone.
I actually think the Q&A is the most fun. It's a chance to really talk with the audience and show how much you care about the topic. Going along with what Liam said, it's totally fine to say, "That's a great question, but I don't really have a good answer right now." You could even ask the audience what they think. It's a conversation, not like a test.
Okay, I feel a bit better now. Thanks. You too. I think I'll try to make a really good outline and practice how I'm going to say it. I'll also try to think of some questions they might ask, but I won't worry about it too much. I guess the main thing is to be ready, but also be able to change if I need to and, enjoy it. That's easier said than done, though.
You've got this, Sarah. We are all in the same boat. Just remember to breathe and try to have fun. It's a great chance to share what you know and get some feedback. Plus, giving presentations is a really good skill to have for jobs later, so think of it as practice for after university.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. We can all practice our presentations together and, give each other feedback. It's much easier when you know people are there for you. Let's try to meet up again before the presentation to go over everything one last time.
Thank you for watching this video. Will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
Three students are discussing experiences in shared housing at university.
Honestly, living in a shared flat has been a bit of an adjustment for me. The biggest issue I've had is definitely the different levels of cleanliness among my flatmates. It's really hard to relax when the common areas, especially the kitchen, are often left messy after someone cooks, and nobody seems to want to clean up.
Yeah, I totally get that, Aria. I had a similar problem last year. My flatmates were super chill, which was great, but chill often meant never doing the dishes. We ended up making a cleaning rota, and even then, it was a constant battle to get everyone to stick to it.
Wow, you guys are making me feel lucky. My current flat is actually pretty good on the cleaning front, which is a huge relief. But we've had a few clashes over noise, especially late at night. Some of my flatmates love to be loud, and it's hard to focus on studies when there's a mini party happening just down the hall.
Oh, the noise issue is real too. I've had to buy noise canceling headphones just to get any peace and quiet to study. It feels like there's no clear boundary between social time and quiet time, and sometimes I just need a quiet space to concentrate without feeling like I'm being a party pooper.
Noise is definitely the big issue in shared living. We had one flatmate who'd game until 3 a.m. with his headset on, but his shouting would echo through the thin walls. We eventually had a sit-down about it, and things improved a bit, but it really showed
Is key. I've learned that the hard way. Besides the noise, one thing I found tricky was the shared fridge situation. People would just eat your food or not label anything, and it led to some awkward conversations. I wish we'd set up some ground rules about groceries and kitchen space right at the beginning.
That's a good point, Matilda. Setting expectations early seems really important. We didn't really have a proper chat about anything before moving in, and I think that's where a lot of the issues come from. I've learned I definitely need to ask about cleaning habits and noise preferences when looking for future flatmates.
Absolutely. A pre-move-in chat about lifestyles would save so much hassle. Also, budgeting for shared utilities and communal items can be tricky. We had a few arguments over who used more electricity or who should replace the toilet paper. It's the small things that add up and cause problems.
Yeah. It's all about finding people who are compatible with your living style, isn't it? If I live in another to discuss all these possible problems, from cleaning schedules to quiet hours, and even a food labeling system, it just makes things so much smoother.
Three students are discussing dealing with noisy neighbors in the dorm at university.
Honestly, I'm just so fed up with my neighbors. They're always playing loud music and having people over, even on weeknights when I'm trying to study. It's really hard for me to focus, and I'm not really sleeping well. I just don't know what to do anymore.
That sounds rough, Charlotte. Have you tried talking to them directly? Sometimes just knocking on the door and having a quick chat can really help. I had a similar problem last semester, and just asking them to turn it down at certain times actually worked for a bit.
Yeah, I agree talking to them is the first thing to try, but it doesn't always work, especially if they're not very thoughtful. If that doesn't work, you could always talk to your resident advisor, your RA. They're there to help with these kinds of things and can make sure people follow the dorm quiet hours. That's usually the official next step.
Yeah, going to the RA is an option. But from my experience, they can be kind of hit or miss. Some RAs are really good about it, but others just send a general email and nothing happens. Personally, I've just found it easier to get good noise-cancelling headphones or just go to the library when it gets too loud. It's not perfect, but it does give you some control back.
I appreciate the suggestions, George. But why should I have to leave my own room or wear headphones all the time? It just feels unfair that I'm the one who has to change just because my neighbors are being inconsiderate. It's really tiring and making it hard to feel relaxed here.
Charlotte's right. It's not fair to expect you to keep moving. Most dorms have very clear quiet hours, especially after 10 p.m. If the RA isn't helping, you might need to take it higher, like to the housing office or the resident director. There are usually official ways to complain about ongoing problems, and that's when they might actually do something.
That's a good point about the official procedures. It's worth trying the official route. As a last resort, if nothing else works, have you thought about asking for a room change? It's a pain, but sometimes a fresh start is the only way to get some peace.
A room change feels pretty drastic, but I might have to think about it if nothing else gets better. I really wish they would enforce the rules more, or maybe have clearer consequences. Maybe if a few of us on the floor reported them, it would be taken more seriously.
Definitely. A group complaint often matters more than just one person complaining. Of stress. It's important to stand up for your right to a peaceful living space, especially with exams coming up.
Three students are discussing using the campus gym at university.
I'm finding it harder and harder to book a slot at the gym. It's always so packed. They really need to make it bigger or get a better booking system. I tried to book a treadmill last week and it was completely booked for the whole week. It's really annoying when you're trying to work out regularly. And I've also noticed a lot of the equipment is old, which makes it even less fun.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. The booking system is definitely a problem. But I also think a lot of people aren't canceling their slots when they can't make it, so it looks even busier than it is. Maybe a small fee if you don't show up would make people cancel, so other people could use the slots. Also, I think the peak hours are too long. Maybe they could open earlier and close later to spread things out.
I agree. The booking system's a nightmare. But I also think the gym could be better at offering different classes. I'm so tired of the same aerobics and spin classes. They or even dance classes, for example. And maybe some classes for different fitness levels. Not everyone's an athlete.
That's a good point about the classes. I've also noticed they don't really look after the equipment. Money on fixing things. And yeah, more classes would definitely get more people interested and make it more fun. Maybe even some beginner workshops.
Exactly! And what about the changing rooms? They're often dirty and crowded, especially after classes. More showers and cleaning would really help. Plus, maybe some lockers with phone chargers built in. That would be so convenient. It's the little things that make the gym better.
Oh, the changing rooms are the worst. I've actually started changing at home to avoid them. But going back to classes, maybe the university could work with local fitness instructors to offer workshops or qualifications. It would give students more options and maybe even some internships. We could create a university fitness community.
I like the idea of working with local instructors. They could bring in new ideas. And thinking about the booking system, Maybe they could have a system where students who use the gym a lot get to book first. It would reward people who go regularly and make other people want to go more. Just a thought.
A system like that could work, but it might make people who only go sometimes feel left out. Maybe a point system where you get points for going and lose points for not showing up. Then you could use those points to book popular slots. It's just that right now it's all about who can click the fastest, not who actually goes regularly. Something's gotta change.
Those are all great ideas. I think the main thing is for the university to actually listen to us. They should do surveys and hold meetings to get our feedback. If they show they want to make the gym better, I think everyone would understand and be willing to help. We just want a good place to work out.
Three students are discussing joining the debating club at university.
I've been thinking about joining the debating club for a while now. It seems like a great way to get better at public speaking and thinking critically. But I'm also a little nervous, because I've never really done proper debating before. I'm worried about having to think up arguments really fast and, saying them well. Has anyone here ever done debating?
I did a bit of debating in high school, and it was really good. It definitely helped me be more confident when I say what I think and when I have to think fast. The thing is, it does take a lot of prep and, like, looking stuff up, which can take time. You have to be ready to work hard to know your stuff and make good arguments. But honestly, it's worth it.
I agree with Will. I haven't done formal debates, but I've seen how good it can be. I want to join because I think it would help me see things from different points of view. I think it's important to be able to talk things through properly, even if you don't agree with someone. Plus, I've heard the club does workshops and practice for beginners, so you don't just get thrown in at the deep end.
It's good to know about the workshops, Laura. I'm still a bit worried about the competition side of things. Do you have to be, super competitive to do well in the club? I'm more interested in learning. So, I'm a bit worried I won't have enough time because of my courses.
Yeah, some people are really competitive, but the club also cares about learning and getting better. You can do less formal debates and practice where it's more about improving your skills, not just winning. And you don't have to do everything. You can pick finding what's good for you.
Exactly. And think about the networking. Debating can help you get internships, scholarships, even jobs. Employers often want people who can communicate well and think critically, which you'll learn in the club. I think it's a great investment in your future, even if you don't want to be a professional debater.
Laura, that's a really good point about the networking. I didn't think of that. But yeah, meeting people who are into the same things and getting to know experienced debaters could be really useful. We can help each other out.
That sounds great, Will. I feel much better about trying it now. It'll be less scary with you both there. Plus, I'm excited about meeting new people and, seeing new things. Let's look at the club's website and find out when the next meeting is. Maybe we can get coffee first and talk about what we want to get out of joining.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. I've heard they're having a social thing soon too, which would be a fun way to meet everyone in a more relaxed way. I'm sure it'll be in the student union, so it'll be easy to get to. Let's definitely do some research before the first meeting so we can get a feel of what the club's like and maybe think of some topics we could debate.
Three students are discussing part-time work on campus at university.
Hey guys, I was just thinking about how helpful it is to have part-time jobs right here on campus. It really saves a lot of travel time compared to working somewhere else. Plus, it feels like the university gets that we're students first, so they're usually pretty flexible with hours around our classes. It's a big help for managing our studies.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, George. The convenience is definitely a big plus. I've heard there are a lot of different kinds of jobs, too, like working in the library, in the student cafeteria, or even as a peer tutor. I'm wondering if those types of jobs offer better pay or more useful experience than, say, a retail job downtown.
From what I've seen, it really depends on the department, Matilda. But many campus jobs do offer useful experience, especially if you're looking for something that connects with your major. I know a friend who got a job with IT support, and it's been great for their tech skills. Plus, that you wouldn't normally interact with.
That's a good point about the experience, Will. But sometimes, even with the flexibility, it can be hard to balance the work. I'm working at the campus bookshop, and during busy times, organized with your studies, which isn't always easy when deadlines are piling up.
You're right about the workload, George. It definitely takes discipline. I've also heard that some of the more flexible or admin jobs can be pretty competitive to get into because everyone wants those steady, predictable hours. It's not just about finding a job, but finding one that truly fits your schedule without adding too much stress.
That's a good point. The application process keys are big hurdles. Maybe it's about being really choosy about the job and how many hours you commit to. I heard some departments offer very flexible, kind of one-off work, like helping with events, which might be less demanding than a regular weekly schedule.
You're right about the competition, Matilda. I actually had to apply to a few different places before I got my current job at the bookshop. It felt like applying for a real job, with interviews and everything. But once you're in, it's usually pretty secure, and the campus environment is generally much more understanding than an employer from outside.
That's good to know, George. So, Even with the challenges of balancing studies and the application process, do you both feel like the benefits of working on campus really outweigh the drawbacks? I'm still trying to decide if it's the right move for me, especially with my course load this semester.
For me, yes. And as I mentioned, the skills I'm gaining are directly useful for my career path. While it adds to the schedule, the reduced commute and supportive environment make it totally worth it. It's helped me feel more connected to the university community too.
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
Three people are discussing reviewing a tutorial discussion at university.
So, about yesterday's tutorial, I felt like the discussion on the economic impact of climate change was a bit scattered. We started strong, but then we kind of jumped around a lot between different areas without really going deep into any one. I think it made it hard to follow the main points sometimes, don't you think?
Thanks for that feedback, Sarah. I was trying to touch on lots of different economic areas just to give a broad overview, because I knew we'd go into more detail in the lectures. Maybe I brought up too many smaller topics too fast, though. What specific parts do you think we should have spent more time on?
Yeah, I agree with Sarah a bit. It did feel a little all over the place. Changes in farming really interesting, even though it was quick. I also think some people weren't joining in as much as they could have, which might have made it feel more scattered, since we didn't get enough different ideas coming out.
Chipping in was a big reason. Like when we talked about renewable energy, it was mostly just a couple of people speaking. Maybe if we'd set it up with specific roles or had questions ready for everyone, it could have got more people involved and thinking harder as a group.
That's a really good idea, Sarah. I've been thinking about different ways to make sure everyone gets to speak without having to force it. Maybe for the next tutorial, I could give out some short research points beforehand, or ask everyone to come ready with one specific way to start the discussion.
Oh, I'd really like that. Having to think of a question or specific point beforehand would definitely make me feel more ready to jump into the discussion. Sometimes I'm just not sure where to start, and that little push at the beginning would be so helpful. It could really help our conversations go more smoothly.
Me too. And maybe after a tutorial, we could have a quick 2-minute chat just to see if there are any last questions or things that still aren't clear. That way, we don't have to wait till the next class to clear things up, and it helps us keep up with the whole course material.
Great ideas, both of you. I'm writing these down for our future tutorials. Making sure everyone feels comfortable joining in and that our discussions are clear and helpful is really important for how you learn. Thanks for being so open and giving such helpful feedback.
No problem, Professor. I think these changes would really help a lot. We really appreciate that you're so open to our ideas and want to make the tutorials even better for us. It feels like what we say actually matters, which is great.
Three students are discussing the role of AI in university assignments at university.
I'm still really worried about AI in assignments, especially with tools like ChatGPT. It just feels like it's making it too easy for students to cheat or not properly learn the material. How can lecturers really tell if the work is actually original anymore?
I actually think it's pretty exciting if we use it the right way. We can use AI to brainstorm ideas, help structure arguments, or even get quick summaries of tricky topics. It's like a really powerful research assistant, not necessarily a way to just avoid learning. We've used calculators in math for ages, and that hasn't stopped us from learning arithmetic.
That's a good point, Charlotte. I agree, we can't just ban it. It's already here and it's changing super fast. Universities should probably focus on teaching us how to use these tools responsibly and ethically. It's becoming a really important skill for a lot of future jobs anyway.
But where do you draw the line? If someone uses AI to write their whole essay, even if they edit it later, are they really learning the subject themselves? I worry it'll create a kind of two-level system where some students really develop critical thinking skills and others just learn to prompt AI effectively.
I think the main thing is changing how we're assessed. Instead of traditional essays, maybe there should be more oral presentations, viva voce exams, or assignments where you have. That way, students can't just rely on AI to do the work for them.
Exactly. If assignments are designed so you have to really analyze AI content or add your own thoughts that AI can't copy, then it becomes a learning tool. For example, using AI to get a first draft, and then having to really look at it and rewrite it to sound like you and match your own research. That's a really useful skill.
I still feel a bit uneasy about it basically changing what original thought even means at university. My biggest fear is that it makes the effort and deep work needed to really master a subject worth less. It's a slippery slope towards only learning things superficially if we're not super careful with it.
I get that concern, but I think students also have a responsibility to the resource. Universities can set clear rules and policies similar to how they deal with plagiarism from human sources. It's about educating, not just restricting.
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword and there's no simple solution. So ultimately, it seems like we need to find a balance. We should welcome the efficiency and new ideas AI offers, but still keep up the academic honesty and critical thinking that university is all about. Clear communication from faculty about what they expect is going to be super important.
Two students and a professor are discussing experiences in large versus small lectures at university.
I really prefer small lectures, honestly. In a big lecture hall, I just feel like I'm just another face, and it's hard to really get involved. I find myself kind of zoning out a lot more easily when there are hundreds of other students around.
That's interesting, because I actually prefer big lectures because I like being anonymous. I like just being able to sit there, take notes, and, just take in the information without feeling like I have to speak up or anything. Plus, they often have really good stuff like clear slides, and sometimes they even record the sessions, which is super helpful when you're revising.
It's true that big lectures are often really important for like the basic courses, especially when there are a lot of students. They help us teach the main stuff effectively to many students. But I do miss how you can really interact in a smaller class. It's just easier to see if everyone understands and to have more discussions where people talk to each other.
Exactly. In a big lecture, if you have a quick question, you can't just shout it out, and raising your hand feels awkward with so many eyes on you. You just end up waiting until after class, if you even remember, or you just stay confused. It really makes it harder for me to learn.
I guess I just don't have that problem as much. A lot of my big lectures have specific times for questions or even online forums that the TAs run where you that works pretty well for clearing things up without stopping the main lecture.
That's a good point about using technology and having enough staff to help out. We're always trying to find ways to make those big classes more interactive. It's really about finding a balance between getting information out to everyone and making sure every student feels supported as they learn.
Maybe if big lectures had more interactive parts like in-class polls or quick things to discuss, that would really help. Even putting us into small groups for a couple of minutes to talk about something could make a huge difference. That way, you're not just sitting there and listening for an hour.
I totally agree with adding more interactive parts to big lectures. That would definitely make things better. But for some subjects, like really big introductory science classes, you really need to get that general idea first before you go into all the details. Small lectures just wouldn't be able to cover so much information as well.
You both brought up some really important points. I think the best way is probably to have a mix of both. So big lectures for the basic ideas, and then smaller tutorials or seminars for like deeper talks and more personal feedback. It's about setting up the learning so it really fits the subject and what students need,
Two students and a professor are discussing how different lecturers teach at university.
It's always so interesting how different teaching styles are here. I really like lecturers who make their classes interactive, like Professor Evans, who always lets us ask questions during the lecture. It just feels so much more interesting than someone just reading from slides, you know?
I understand that preference, Sarah. As professors, we often have to balance giving you the main information with encouraging discussion. And sometimes a more direct approach is necessary, especially for basic topics. Also, we need to think about different learning styles. Some students really learn best from information that's given clearly and in a structured way before they start debating.
That's true, Professor. But I've noticed that lecturers who connect the theory to real world examples are the ones where the information really sticks. Like Dr. Chen in our marketing class. She always shares case studies and recent examples from the industry. It makes the difficult ideas so much easier to understand and remember.
Ah, yes, Dr. Chen's way of teaching is great for subjects that are more practical. We try to encourage that in all departments, but it can be hard for very theoretical subjects, like pure maths or some philosophy courses. Problems, which needs a different teaching style.
I guess that makes sense. Still, I wish more lecturers would use technology to make things more lively. Some are brilliant with online quizzes and interactive polls. Others just upload a PDF and that's it. It feels a bit dated now, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Using online learning platforms for group projects or even just a well organized discussion board can make a huge difference. It takes the learning beyond the lecture hall, letting us really get into the material and talk to each other at our own pace. It's not just about giving out information anymore.
You're both right about how much technology can help, and we're seeing more people using it every year, but it takes a lot of time to create those interactive things, especially when we also have research work. There's also the problem of making sure everyone has equal access to the tools and knows how to use them well.
That's fair. But even small things like quick feedback on assignments or clearer information about what's expected make a huge difference. Easy to talk to, while others feel totally disconnected. That connection really affects how motivated I feel.
Exactly. In the end, it's about finding a balance that works for different learning styles and makes us feel supported. A mix of clear structure, interesting interactive parts, and feedback that's easy to get seems like the best teaching style. It's a tough job, but the best lecturers really manage to pull it off.
Two students and a student services advisor are discussing accessing financial hardship support at university.
I'm really struggling financially this semester, and it's making it hard to focus on my studies. I heard the university has some kind of hardship fund, but I'm not even sure where to start looking for information. It just feels like such a huge, overwhelming process, just to find out if I'm eligible.
I understand it can feel a bit scary, Jessica, but there's definitely help available. The best place to start is usually our Student Financial Aid Office website. They have a special section for hardship applications there. We've actually made the process a lot simpler over the last year, so it's more straightforward than you might think.
That's good to hear, Chris. But I've heard stories about students applying and getting turned down because the rules are so strict. Is it only for really tough situations, like if you can't pay rent? Or could it help with everyday expenses, like textbooks or getting around? I'm worried about wasting time filling out forms if I won't qualify for anything substantial.
Exactly, Lily. I'm also worried about how long the application takes and what documents they need. My situation isn't super bad, but unexpected medical bills have really hit my savings hard, and I'm finding it hard to pay for basic living costs. It'd be great.
Points, and it's true. There are different levels of help. While the biggest funds are for severe hardship, we do have emergency grants for unexpected costs, even smaller stuff like medical bills or emergency travel. The application usually asks for proof of income, your expenses, and a short note explaining your situation, but we try to process them quickly.
That's actually a relief to hear about the emergency grants. But what? Someone struggling to get food or needs help finding a cheaper place to live? I know some friends who've had those problems, and it's not always just about money,
Oh, that's a really good point, Lily. I hadn't even thought about that. So it's not just about getting a loan or a grant? The university could also connect us with other resources? That would be super helpful, especially for international students who might not know where to look.
Absolutely. We connect students with lots of different services. So beyond just direct financial aid, our office can send you to our campus food bank, give advice on student housing, or even connect you with mental health help if stress is a problem. We also have a special team that can help international students find local resources. It's really about giving you all-around support.
Wow, that's much more than I imagined. I feel much better knowing there are so many options and people to help. I think I'll go check out that financial aid website you mentioned, Chris, and maybe even book a quick chat if I have more specific.
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
I really want to start eating healthier, but it just seems so expensive. Everywhere I look, I see these meal plans packed with organic foods, exotic superfoods, and specialty ingredients I've never even heard of. I can't afford any of that on a student budget. Most of the time, I just end up grabbing instant noodles or frozen snacks because they're cheap and quick.
I totally get where you are coming from. It can definitely seem that way with all the fancy recipes online. But honestly, healthy eating doesn't have to mean expensive. You don't need to go organic or buy the latest health trend. Basic staples like rice, lentils, beans, oats, eggs, and frozen vegetables are not only affordable, but also really nutritious. You can make a variety of meals using just a few simple ingredients.
And one thing that's really helped me is meal prepping. If you set aside a few hours one day, like on Sunday, you can cook meals in bulk for the whole week. That way, you're not scrambling to figure out what to eat when you're tired or in a rush. It also saves you from ordering takeout or grabbing something unhealthy out of convenience. Plus, it helps reduce food waste since you're planning what you'll actually eat.
That actually sounds doable. I never really thought of it that way. I guess I just assumed healthy eating meant cooking complicated recipes with expensive ingredients. I didn't realize there were simpler and cheaper ways to approach it.
Definitely. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight either. Try starting small. Maybe just replace 1 or 2 meals a week with a healthier option, like a veggie stir-fry or a rice and lentil bowl. Gradual changes are much easier to stick with than trying to go all in at once. And you'll start feeling better, which motivates you to keep going.
Also, campus markets. Some places even have deals on near-expiry items, which are still perfectly good to eat. And don't forget community centers. Some offer free or discounted produce to students, especially near exam season or during holidays. It's worth looking into what's available in your area.
That's actually really encouraging. I think I've been making it harder for myself than it needs to be. I'll start by prepping a few simple meals this week and checking for deals or discounts nearby. Maybe healthy eating isn't as out of reach as I thought.
Exactly. Start small, be consistent, and it will get easier and cheaper over time.
I've been here for a month now, and I still haven't made any real friends. I thought it would be easier. I imagined meeting people during classes or events, but it's honestly been harder than I expected. Everyone already seems to have their own group, and I always feel like an outsider trying to catch up.
That's totally normal, especially in the beginning. Believe it or not, a lot of people feel the same way, but just don't say it out loud. Making friends takes time, and it doesn't always happen right away. What really helped me when I was new was joining a club or society that matched my interests. It gives you something in common with people, which makes starting a conversation feel more natural.
Exactly. When you're part of a shared activity, like a hobby group, a sports team, or even a study group, it takes the pressure off trying to force small talk. You get to interact with the same people regularly, which helps build familiarity. Over time, that can turn into real friendship. The environment makes it easier because you already have a shared purpose or topic to connect over.
I guess part of my problem is that I get really nervous about approaching people. I always overthink it. What if they're not interested in talking? What if they already have a tight-knit group and don't want someone new joining in?
You'd honestly be surprised. Most people are way more open than they seem, especially early on when everyone's still settling in. A lot of them are just as nervous as you are, they're just better at hiding it. Try starting with small gestures, like saying hi to someone before class, making a quick comment about the lecture, or joining someone for lunch. It doesn't have the door.
And remember, building real friendships takes time. You don't need to click with someone instantly. Sometimes the strongest connections grow slowly, through shared experiences and repeated interactions. Be patient with yourself and the process. You might not even realize it's happening until one day you're laughing with someone and it hits you that you've made a friend.
That's really reassuring. I think I've been putting way too much pressure on myself to fit in right away. Maybe I need to stop expecting instant results and just take small steps, like joining a few clubs, being more open in class, and letting things develop naturally.
Exactly. Just keep showing up and being yourself. The right people will find you.
Ugh, group projects again. I always seem to end up doing most of the work while everyone else just coasts along. It's so frustrating and unfair. I try to be responsible and keep things on track, but I hate feeling like the only one who actually cares about the outcome.
Yeah, I totally get that. You're definitely not alone. Group assignments can be really frustrating, especially when not everyone puts in the same level of effort. One thing that can really help is setting clear roles and expectations right at the beginning. Like, actually taking the time to decide who's responsible for what and when each part is due. That way, there's less confusion, and people are more likely to stay accountable.
And honestly, using shared tools can make a huge difference. Platforms like Google Docs, Trello, or even shared calendars keep everyone in the loop. When everything's in one place, it's easier to track progress and see who's contributing what. It also makes it a bit harder for people to disappear until the last minute because their name is right there next to what they're supposed to be working on.
I guess that's where we went wrong. We just divided the tasks at the start and kind of assumed everyone would do their part. But after that, we barely communicated. We didn't have any real follow-up or check-ins, and I ended up picking up the slack when others didn't deliver.
That's actually a really common mistake. It's easy to assume things will go smoothly after the first meeting, but regular check-ins are super important. Even just a short weekly update or quick group message can keep everyone on track. It also gives people a chance to speak up if they're stuck or falling behind, rather
Speak up if someone really isn't doing their part. If you've tried reminders and they're still not contributing, key group dynamics can be, and some even allow individual grading or include peer evaluations. It's not about tattling, it's about making sure the work is fairly assessed.
That makes a lot of sense. I think I've just been trying to handle everything myself to avoid conflict. But it's exhausting. Next time, I'll definitely and making better use of collaborative tools. I agree, better communication and accountability could save a lot of stress and frustration. My exams are coming up soon, and I'm barely getting any sleep. I feel constantly anxious and overwhelmed, like I'm running out of time no matter how much I study. It's like there's this constant pressure, and I can't seem to catch a break. I'm exhausted, but I keep pushing myself because I feel like I have no choice.
You're definitely not alone. Exam season can be brutal for a lot of students. I've been there too. One thing that's really helped me is breaking my study sessions into smaller, manageable chunks. Instead of trying to tackle everything at once, I focus on one topic at a time. It makes things feel less overwhelming, and I actually get more done without burning out.
And seriously, don't underestimate the power of sleep. I know it feels like staying up all night to cram might give you more time, but it really hurts more than it helps. Your brain needs sleep to properly retain information and to function at its best. Without enough rest, your concentration, memory, and problem-solving abilities all take a hit.
I've tried taking breaks and trying to relax, but I can't shake the guilt. Every time I stop studying, even for a few minutes, I feel like I'm wasting valuable stress.
That's such a common feeling during exam season. I totally get it. What's worked for me is scheduling my breaks as part of my study plan. For example, I'll study for 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. When breaks are intentional and planned, they feel productive instead of procrastinating. It also helps you come back to your work more focused.
And don't forget to look after your mental health. Studying is important, but so is your well-being. Sometimes just stepping outside for a few minutes, doing some deep breathing, stretching, or going for a short walk can help clear your mind and reduce anxiety. When everything feels like too much, it's okay to pause and reset.
You're both right. I think I've been way too hard on myself. I've been treating breaks like they're a luxury I can't afford, when in reality, they're essential. I'm going to try setting up a more balanced schedule, something that includes focused study time, but also proper breaks, enough sleep, and some space to look after my mental health. Thanks for the advice. It really helps to hear that I'm not the only one going through this. I've seen some of my classmates using AI tools for studying and even writing their essays. It honestly makes me wonder, is that even allowed? I mean, I don't want to fall behind, but I also don't want to risk getting into trouble for something that could be considered cheating.
That's a good question, and one a lot of students are asking these days. It really depends on how those tools are being used. If someone's using AI to brainstorm ideas, understand difficult concepts, or get feedback on things like grammar or structure, that's usually okay. It's kind of like asking a tutor or using a grammar checker. But if they're copying full answers or pasting entire essays written by AI, that's where it crosses the line. That's considered plagiarism.
Exactly. AI can be really helpful when it comes to supporting your work, but it's not meant to replace your thinking. Tools that help you rephrase awkward sentences, outline your ideas, or explain confusing parts of a topic can definitely make your writing stronger. But you still have to engage with the material and make sure the final work reflects your own understanding and voice.
That makes sense. I do want to get better at academic writing. I struggle sometimes with structuring my arguments or clearly expressing my points, but I don't want to take shortcuts or risk my integrity.
Then you are on the right track. Think of AI as a support tool, not a shortcut. You can use it to help you brainstorm a thesis statement, organize your main points, or even check your grammar. But the content should still come from you, your ideas, your analysis, and your words. That way, you are not just submitting something that looks good. You are actually learning and improving your skills along the way.
Also keep in mind that your professors are usually familiar with your writing style. If you suddenly turn in an essay that sounds way too polished or generic compared to your previous work, it might raise red flags. They might suspect you did not write it yourself. It is always better to stay honest and transparent about the tools you use.
That's true. I hadn't really thought about how noticeable a change in tone could be. I definitely want to improve, but I want to do it the right way. I guess it's about using AI to help me learn, not to avoid the work.
Exactly. When used responsibly, AI can actually be a great learning tool. Just make sure you stay in control of your work and keep your academic integrity intact.
Thanks, that really helps. I will use AI more responsibly, not to cheat, but to support my learning and become a better writer over time.
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
Group work is a common academic task at university, but it doesn't always run smoothly. What strategies have you found most effective for ensuring success in group assignments?
I think the first and most important step is setting clear roles and deadlines right at the beginning. Without that structure, people get confused about what they're supposed to do, and sometimes you end up with overlapping work, or worse, parts that no one has done. When responsibilities are clearly divided and deadlines are set early, it helps the group stay focused and avoid last-minute panic.
I would add that regular check-ins are just as crucial as assigning roles. Even if everyone and a task if there's no communication. Weekly meetings or even quick midweek updates can help track progress, clear up confusion, and keep everyone aligned. It's much easier to solve small issues early than fix a major problem at the end.
I totally agree. One thing that's helped in my experience is using collaborative tools. Google Docs, Trello, or shared calendars make everything more transparent. Everyone can see what's been done, leave comments, and update their tasks. It cuts down on unnecessary messages and keeps everything in one place. Plus, it avoids that common problem of managing multiple versions of the same document through email. Great suggestions. But what about situations where some team members aren't contributing their fair share?
That's always tough, but it's important to address it early before resentment builds. Sometimes people genuinely don't realize they're falling behind or assume someone else will step in. A respectful but direct conversation, something like, "Hey, we noticed this part hasn't been done yet. Do you need help?" can make a big difference.
And if you've tried that and the person still isn't engaging, then I think it's fair to inform the lecturer. Group grades should reflect group effort. It's not about getting someone in trouble. It's about making sure everyone's hard work is valued and the final project doesn't suffer because of one person.
I agree with both of you. Even if a situation gets frustrating, it's really important to stay professional. Learning how to navigate conflict, delegate tasks, and work with different personalities is a big part of group work. It's not just about the grade. It's practice for real-world teamwork. Excellent points. So overall, we can say that successful group work depends on a combination of structure, regular communication, shared accountability, and respectful conflict resolution. Thanks for the thoughtful discussion, everyone. Today, we're discussing the role of volunteering during the university years. Many students feel unsure about whether they have the time or energy to volunteer. What are some benefits you've experienced from getting involved in volunteer work?
Volunteering really helped me improve my communication skills. I worked at a local food bank where I regularly interacted with people from all walks of life. At first, it was a bit intimidating, but over time, I learned how to listen more actively and express myself clearly. It pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I became more confident when talking to strangers, which also helped me in class presentations.
I had a similar experience. Before volunteering, I used to spend a lot of time on my phone or watching shows during my free hours. But once I started volunteering at a youth center, I felt like I had a more meaningful routine. It gave structure to my week, and I actually looked forward to those sessions. Having people depend on me made me take the responsibility seriously, and it really boosted my self-esteem.
I completely agree with both of you. Besides the personal benefits, volunteering also helps professionally. When I applied for internships, having volunteer experience on my CV made a difference. Interviewers asked me about it, and I could talk about the teamwork, leadership, and problem-solving skills I developed. It's not just about giving your time. It shows employers that you're proactive and socially responsible. That's a good point. Did volunteering ever interfere with your academic work?
Not really. As long as I kept a clear schedule and stayed on top of my assignments, it didn't clash with my studies. In fact, the structure helped me stay focused during the week.
For me, volunteering actually improved my time management. I became more aware of how I used my time and started planning better. Instead of procrastinating, I became more efficient with my coursework so I could make space for volunteering.
Same here. Volunteering gave me more than just something extra to do. It gave me a sense of purpose. I felt more connected to the community and to the city I live in. It made university feel less isolating, especially during stressful exam periods. Would you recommend other students consider volunteering?
Absolutely. It's a rewarding experience, personally, professionally, and socially. Even just a few hours a week can make a big difference in your own life and in someone else's.
Wonderful insights. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Hopefully more students will feel encouraged to get involved after hearing this. Let's explore some practical ways students can manage their finances more effectively during university. What strategies have worked for you personally?
I've found that setting a monthly budget really helps. I keep track of all my income, from part-time work and family support, and list all my expenses using a simple spreadsheet. It makes it easier to see where my money is going, and it helps me avoid overspending on non-essentials. Once I started tracking everything, I became much more mindful about my choices.
I use a budgeting app instead of a spreadsheet. It connects to my bank account and automatically categorizes my spending into things like groceries, transport, food delivery, and entertainment. It was eye-opening to see how much I was spending on takeout. Once I realized that, I made a conscious effort to cook more at home and reduce those expenses.
Same here. Cooking at home has made a huge difference for me too. Eating out even just a few times a week can drain your budget fast. I started planning meals and cooking in batches, especially during weekends. It saves time on busy weekdays and reduces the temptation to order food when I'm tired.
That's great to hear. What about academic expenses like textbooks and other learning materials? Those can get quite expensive too.
I try to buy secondhand books whenever I can, or borrow them from the university library. A lot of students don't realize that older editions are often just as good and much cheaper. Some professors even upload readings online, so I always check that first.
Same here. I also try to avoid impulse spending. One strategy that works well for me is the 20 need. I wait a day before deciding. Most of the time, I forget about it or realize I didn't need it in the first place.
Another tip I'd add is sharing digital subscriptions. My roommates and I split costs for Netflix, Spotify, and even some study tools. It's a small change, but the savings really add up over time, especially when you're living on a tight budget.
These are all excellent suggestions. Managing personal finances is definitely a key skill for university life. Do you think universities should offer budgeting workshops or financial literacy programs for students?
Absolutely. Many students don't know where to start when it comes to managing money. Workshops on budgeting, saving, and even student loan management would be incredibly helpful. It should be a part of orientation or at least available early in the semester.
Great discussion, everyone. These are all practical and realistic ideas that could really help students stay financially stable throughout their studies. We've all had experience with both remote and in-person learning over the past few years. Let's discuss which method you feel is more effective overall. What are your thoughts?
Personally, I find in-person classes more effective. When I'm physically in a classroom, it's easier to stay focused because the environment is specifically designed for learning. I also appreciate being able to ask questions immediately when I don't understand something. There's something about the structure and face-to-face interaction with both peers and instructors that helps me absorb information better.
I see your point, but I actually prefer remote learning. For me, the biggest advantage is the flexibility. I can create my own schedule and manage my time more efficiently. Not having to commute to campus saves hours every week, and I can use that time to revise, rest, or work part-time. I also really appreciate recorded lectures. They allow me to go back and revisit complex topics when I'm.
I like the flexibility too, but I often felt isolated during remote learning. I really missed the social side of studying, interacting with classmates, working on group projects, or even just having casual conversations before or after class. Those interactions help build a sense of community and keep me motivated. Online platforms just didn't replicate that experience very well.
Another major issue with remote learning was the technology. Not everyone had access to a reliable internet connection, and distractions at home made it difficult to concentrate. Sometimes, it was hard to hear the instructor, or my screen would freeze during important parts of a lecture. That made it tough to keep up and participate in live discussions.
That's a fair point. But on the other hand, having access to online resources was a huge benefit. In addition to recorded lectures, we had discussion boards, digital notes, and more flexibility to learn at our own pace. It suited different learning styles better than traditional classrooms, where the pace is usually the same.
Model might be the best solution going forward. If we could attend certain sessions, like labs, group discussions, or presentations, in person, and do lectures, readings, or assignments online, it would provide a more balanced learning experience. That way, we'd still get the benefits of face-to-face interaction while maintaining the flexibility that online learning offers.
That's an interesting suggestion. Would you all support a hybrid model as a permanent system?
Yes, as long as it's well organized and maintains a good balance between online and in-person components. It could make learning more adaptable to different needs and situations.
Today, let's discuss the most effective ways to raise awareness about climate change among young people. With increasing environmental challenges, it's vital that the next generation is both informed and empowered to take action. What strategies do you think work best?
I think social media is absolutely key. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are where young people spend most of their time, so it makes sense to meet them where they already are. Short videos, memes, and infographics can make complex climate science more accessible and engaging. Content like animations showing rising sea levels or fun challenges encouraging eco-friendly habits can spread awareness very quickly and even go viral.
I agree that social media has massive reach, but we do have to be cautious. Not everything shared online is accurate. Infographics and short clips often oversimplify issues, and in some cases, they might even mislead or spread misinformation. While engagement is important, we need to ensure that what's being communicated is factual and grounded in science. That's where partnerships with credible organizations and fact-checking become crucial.
That's exactly why I believe schools should take a more active role. Social media is useful for sparking interest. Education should be a regular part of the school curriculum, not just an occasional topic during events like Earth Day. When students are taught about climate change in a structured and comprehensive way, they develop a solid foundation that helps them critically evaluate the content they see online.
That's a great point. What are your thoughts on community-based efforts?
It sounds like you're emphasizing the importance of hands-on activities and environmental education to create a personal connection with the cause. What kind of impact have you seen these activities have on students?
I completely agree, though one challenge is getting people to show up. Participation in such events can be low, especially if they're seen as time-consuming or boring. Maybe if schools or community centers offered small incentives like certificates, volunteer hours, or even just recognition on social media, more young people would be motivated to take part.
I've also seen that peer-led initiatives can be very effective. Workshops or campaigns organized by students often have a greater impact than adult-led ones, simply because the message feels more relatable. When someone your own age is passionate about an issue, it becomes easier to connect and take it seriously.
So would you all agree that a combination of digital outreach, formal education, and hands-on community involvement is the most effective path
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you.
I just got my essay back, and the professor left a lot of comments. Some of them felt really critical, and now I'm feeling kind of deflated.
I've been there. It's tough when you've put in so much effort and the feedback feels harsh. But try not to take it personally. Most of the time, feedback means the professor sees potential in your work and wants to help you get better.
Same here. In my first semester, I got a paper back with tons of red marks, and I was so discouraged. At first, I just ignored the comments I didn't understand, but then I started asking follow-up questions. Most professors are happy to explain what they meant or give more guidance if you show that you care.
That's actually a good idea. I usually just look at the grade and then put the essay away. But I guess that's not really helping me improve.
Exactly. What really matters is going through the feedback carefully and figuring out how to apply it to your next assignment. Even if this one didn't go perfectly, you can use what you've learned to make the next one better.
One thing that's really helped me is keeping a separate document where I record common issues I've made, things like grammar mistakes, citation problems, or weak thesis statements. That way, before I start my next essay, I can review that list and try to avoid repeating the same errors.
That's actually a smart strategy. I've never thought of doing something like that, but it sounds super useful.
Another option is meeting with your professor during office hours or going to the campus writing center. Sometimes, just a 10 or 15-minute conversation can make a huge difference in understanding what they're looking for and how you can improve.
And don't forget, writing is a skill. It's not something most people are just naturally good at. It takes time, feedback, and revision to get better. You're not alone in this.
Yeah, I guess I've been expecting too much from myself right away. I'll try not to get discouraged and focus more on learning from the feedback instead of just the grade.
That's a healthy mindset. Progress matters more than perfection.
Totally. If you keep working at it and using the feedback you're given, your writing will improve over time. Just be patient with yourself.
I've been offered two internships, one at a big company and the other at a small startup. I can't decide which one to take.
That's definitely a tough choice. Big companies usually offer more structure, established mentorship programs, and a recognized brand name, which can be great for your resume and future job opportunities.
True, but startups can give you broader responsibilities and more hands-on experience. You might get the chance to work on a variety of tasks, which helps you learn quicker and adapt to different roles.
Yeah, that's what's making it hard. The startup feels more flexible and fast-paced, but the big company definitely has the advantage when it comes to reputation and resources.
Maybe it would help to think about your long-term goals. Do you want to specialize in one area or gain experience across multiple fields before deciding?
Also consider the work culture. Startups often have smaller teams and a more casual atmosphere, which could mean more direct interaction with your supervisors, but it might also come with more pressure and less formal training.
That's a good point. I feel like I'd grow more at the startup, but I worry it won't carry as much weight on my CV compared to a well-known company.
It depends on how you frame it. If you take on real responsibilities at the startup, like leading a project or learning valuable skills, you can showcase those achievements. That might even stand out more than just having a famous company name.
Exactly. Employers often care more about what you've actually done and learned than just where you worked. It can be really impressive.
Thanks, both of you. I think I'll go with the place where I feel I can grow the most and really contribute.
That sounds like a smart decision. Choose the one that aligns with your goals and values.
And whichever one you choose, make the most of it. Internships are what you make of them.
I've only been here for 2 weeks, and I already feel really homesick. Everything just feels so different from home.
That's completely normal. It can take some time to adjust, especially when you're in a new country with a different culture, lifestyle, and routine.
I totally understand. I moved here last year, and I felt exactly the same in the beginning. What really helped me was joining the international student group. It gave me a sense of community and made me feel less alone.
I've tried talking to people, but I'm finding it hard to make real connections with the local students. How do you feel about that?
Maybe give campus events or volunteer groups a try. Those are usually great for meeting people in a more relaxed environment. Most people are open to conversation once someone makes the first move.
And don't worry if it doesn't happen overnight. Fitting in takes time. Try to be kind to yourself and allow the adjustment process to unfold gradually.
It's not just the people I miss. I also really miss the food and the weather. I'm used to warm, sunny days and home-cooked meals. Everything here just feels unfamiliar.
That's completely valid. You could try cooking a few of your favorite meals from home. There are usually international grocery stores around, or even sections in regular supermarkets that carry ingredients from different cultures.
Also, don't underestimate how much it helps to stay connected with family and friends back home. Even a short video call or more grounded.
Yeah, I've been so focused on adjusting here that I haven't been keeping in touch as much. Maybe I need to make more of an effort to balance both worlds.
Absolutely. Staying connected while also being open to new experiences can really help ease homesickness.
And remember, you're not alone. So many students go through the same thing. It does get easier with time. You just need to take small steps.
Thanks, guys. I think I've been too hard on myself. I'll try to be more patient and open-minded moving forward.
That's the spirit. Give yourself the time and space to adapt.
And don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you.
I saw the club fair on campus today, but I didn't sign up for anything. I wasn't sure what would be a good fit for me.
I totally get that. But honestly, joining a club can be a great way to meet people, especially in your first year. I joined the Drama Society, and it's been amazing. It's a fun outlet and a nice break from academic pressure.
Same here. I joined the debate team. It's really helped me become more confident with public speaking, and it gives me something engaging to do outside of lectures and assignments.
That sounds cool, but I'm a little worried about time. My coursework already feels like a lot, and I'm not sure I can handle anything extra.
That's totally understandable. But most clubs only meet once or twice a week. And they're usually really flexible. Everyone there is a student too, so they get it. Academics always come first.
And it doesn't have to be something super time-consuming or intense. There are clubs for all kinds of interests. You could go for something fun and low pressure, like photography, chess, or dance. It's actually a great way to unwind.
That makes sense. I actually really miss painting. I think I saw an art club at one of the booths.
You should definitely check it out. Doing something creative can be really therapeutic. And being part of a group with shared interests makes the whole college experience more enjoyable and balanced.
Plus, employers appreciate when students show they're involved in things outside of academics. It shows initiative, time management, and people skills.
Focused on coursework, that I didn't think joining a club could actually help in the long run.
Exactly. It's not just about fun. It helps you grow personally and professionally, and you'll likely make some great friends along the way.
Just go to a meeting and see how it feels. Most clubs let you try it out before committing. You don't have to dive in all at once.
That sounds like a good idea. I'll stop by the art club tomorrow and see how it goes.
Go for it. You won't regret it.
Yeah, and let us know how it goes. We might join you.
I am thinking of taking an online course this semester instead of an in-person one. I like the idea of having more flexibility, but I am not sure if it is the right fit for me. Do you think it is a good idea?
It really depends on your learning style. Online courses are definitely more flexible, which is great if you have a packed schedule or don't live close to campus. But they do require a lot of self-motivation and discipline. You don't have a professor physically reminding you to keep up.
Yeah, I took one last term and honestly loved the convenience. Being able to work at my own pace was a huge plus, but I won't lie, it was a lot harder to stay focused without the structure of regular classes and reminders from classmates or professors.
That's what I'm worried about too. I get distracted easily, especially at home. I'm afraid I might start strong and then slowly lose track of everything.
That's totally valid. I used to feel the same way. What helped me was setting up a quiet study area where I only do schoolwork. I also stuck to a regular schedule, just like I would for in-person classes, logging in at a certain time, taking notes, and doing tasks immediately instead of postponing them.
And you really have to make an effort to stay engaged. In online courses, you don't have the same face-to-face interactions, so it's easy to feel disconnected. I made sure to participate in all the discussion forums and reach out to the instructor whenever I needed help.
That makes sense. I hadn't really thought about how important it is to stay active in the class, even online.
Workload. Don't expect it to be lighter than in-person classes. In fact, online courses often have more frequent quizzes, written assignments, and weekly discussions instead of midterms or finals. They keep you consistently involved.
And don't underestimate the deadlines. With so much flexibility, it's easy to procrastinate, but catching up later can be really overwhelming. Staying on top of the schedule is key.
Sounds like it's all about staying organized and treating the course like a real commitment. I think I can manage that.
Exactly. If you can stick to a routine and stay proactive, online learning can be a great option.
You might even end up enjoying it more than you expect. Just give it an honest try and see how it works for you.
Thanks, guys. I feel more confident now. I'll give it a shot and make sure to stay on track.
Thank you for watching this video, will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.
Two students and an IT support officer are discussing campus facilities at university.
You know, I've been spending so much time in the library lately, and while it's pretty good, I wish there were more quiet study rooms available. It feels like they're always booked up, especially around exam season. Sometimes it's hard to find a spot where you can really focus without distractions.
Oh, I totally agree about the study spaces, Liam. And speaking of facilities, I've noticed the Wi Fi in some of the older buildings can be pretty unreliable. It constantly drops out, which is super frustrating when you're trying to hand in an assignment or watch a lecture. We're paying a lot for tuition. You'd think the basic internet would be really good everywhere.
Thanks for bringing that up, Jessica. We're actually aware of the Wi-Fi issues in the older blocks, and we're in the process of upgrading the system. It's a really big project, but we expect to see big improvements by next semester. As for study spaces, while that's not directly IT, good internet is super important for them. So we're working to make sure that's sorted.
That's good to hear about the Wi-Fi, Eric. It's definitely a big deal for productivity. And just wondering, have you considered adding more specialized computer labs? Sometimes specific software, like for engineering or design, is only available in a few labs, and they're always packed. It'd be great to have more access to those high-spec machines.
Yeah, definitely more lab access would be amazing. But can we talk about the campus gym for a second? It feels really outdated compared to other universities, and the equipment often seems to be broken. I think getting some new machines and maybe and use the facilities.
I can definitely pass on the feedback about the specialized labs, Liam. We often check what software is needed and how much the labs are used, so your input is valuable. About the gym, Jessica, that falls under the sports and recreation department, but I know the university is always looking at ways to improve student well-being, and facilities are part of that. There are budget discussions happening all the time for these kinds of improvements.
It just seems like these improvements always take forever, or they're just fixing things after they break instead of planning ahead. I mean, it's not just about fixing what's broken, but looking at what students actually need for modern learning and living. Maybe there should be a more regular, organized way for students to give feedback directly to facility managers, not just IT or sports, about everything from study zones to food outlets.
That's a great point, Liam. Like a proper student facilities committee, or even just a suggestion box system that they actually check regularly would be so helpful. It would make us feel more heard. Even simple things like more accessible water fountains or better lighting in some areas could really improve daily life on campus.
I appreciate that perspective, both of you. There are actually channels for feedback, like the student union representatives who meet with various university departments, including facilities management. Maybe we need to do a better job of publicizing those options. We really value student input. It helps us prioritize future projects and upgrades. Keep the suggestions coming.
3 students are discussing volunteering opportunities on campus at university.
Hey guys, I was just thinking about how we could get more involved on campus, besides just classes. Volunteering seems like a really good idea, but I'm not totally sure where to begin. Are there any easy ways to find out about stuff like helping with student events or something like that?
Oh, totally, Liam. The student union usually has loads of stuff listed, especially when term starts. They often need help with things like orientation, or charity events, or even just general office work. And sometimes, or research assistance, which can actually be really good for your CV.
That's good to know, but honestly, I'm a bit worried about the time. With all the coursework and exams, I hardly have any time for myself, let alone taking on more stuff. Is it really worth trying to fit in more tasks if it means less time for studying?
I get that, George, but I think it's more than just an extra task. Volunteering can actually help with stress, by giving you a break from studying and a sense of purpose. Plus, you meet loads of new people and learn skills you wouldn't in a lecture. Even just an hour or two a week can really make a difference.
You've got a point about meeting people and learning skills. I hadn't really thought about it like that. My biggest problem is still knowing what to volunteer for. Sometimes the information just feels all over the place, and it's hard to work out what would actually fit what I like or my schedule without a massive search.
That's true. It could definitely be better organized. I actually heard there's a campus could be a good place to find everything in one spot. They usually have stands from local charities, campus groups like the Sustainability Club, and even off-campus places that work with the uni, like reading programs for local schools.
A fair sounds perfect. That would make it so much easier to compare options and actually chat with people directly about what's involved. I'd also really love to find something linked to my major, like helping out in a lab or with a professor's research, if anything like that ever comes up.
Exactly. And don't forget about the community side of it. It's not just about what you get, but also what you can give back. Helping out at the campus food bank, for example, really helps other students. And it just creates a super positive vibe.
Okay, you've convinced me. The fair sounds like a good place to start, and I can see the good in giving back now. I'll definitely check it out, especially if there are things that fit with my studies or even just helping with short events. Thanks for the info, guys. Three students are discussing appealing a grade at university.
I'm really thinking about appealing my grade in my History of Modern Art class. I just got a C+ on my final essay, and I honestly thought I'd done way better, like a B or even an A-. I followed the rubric really closely, and the feedback just felt super vague. It didn't really explain why I lost so many points.
Oh, wow. CO, that's rough. Especially when you feel like you totally nailed it. Appealing a grade always seems like such a huge headache, though, doesn't it? I've heard it can be a really long process.
And sometimes it doesn't even change anything.
It can be. But if you really believe it's unfair, you should definitely go for it. The first step is usually to set up a meeting with your professor to talk about their feedback in detail. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding, or maybe they just missed something important in your work.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. The prompt asked for an analysis of post-war art movements, and I focused a lot on abstract expressionism and pop art, giving specific examples. But the professor's comment was just lacked depth, which doesn't really help me get why it went wrong, especially since I cited all my sources properly.
Yeah, lacked depth is super unhelpful feedback. I totally get that. If talking to the professor doesn't make things clearer, then you'll need to officially appeal. That usually means putting together a really detailed case. You'd have to show things like the original assignment, the rubric, and any emails or chats you had with the professor.
Exactly. Having all your documents is an essay that match the rubric or the assignment prompt, which you feel weren't properly recognized. Try to present it as a professional academic question and where you think they might have misunderstood something.
I'm still a bit worried about how it might affect my relationship with the professor, even if I try to be super professional about it. But I just can't let a grade that feels wrong stand, especially when it impacts my GPA. I've already saved the assignment.
Concern. But most professors understand that students have the right to appeal. Just stick to the facts and focus on the academic reasons behind your work. You've clearly put a lot of thought into this, and your detailed points will speak for themselves.
Absolutely. Remember, it's about standing up for your work and making sure you get a fair assessment. Don't be afraid to clearly say why you think your grade should be higher and back it up with evidence. We're here to help if you need to brainstorm ideas or go over your points.
Two students and a professor are discussing a debate they found interesting at university.
I'm still thinking about that debate on AI in academic writing. I mean, the main point about things being real really stuck with me. If students can just get essays from AI, how do we know what they actually understand? It feels like it ruins the whole idea of showing what you know and how you can think for yourself.
That's a really good point, Sarah. I saw a lot of students agreeing with that, but I think the debate also showed how AI could be a useful tool, not just a shortcut. Like for people who don't speak English as their first language, or those with learning difficulties, it could be a really good grammar checker or a brainstorming partner. So it could make things fairer in some ways.
I agree with Professor Roger on that. The point about making things easier for everyone was really strong. I also thought the idea about AI giving If you're not spending ages on basic sentences, you could really get into more complex analysis, couldn't you?
But that's where I get a bit stuck, Arya. If students aren't doing the hard work of putting sentences together or finding the right words, are they really learning to communicate well? It feels like we're getting someone else to do the very process that helps us think critically. I worry it could make people lazy thinkers.
I get that worry, Sarah. It's a real problem for teachers. Maybe the answer isn't to just ban AI, but to change our assignments. We could get students to do more original research or come up with unique arguments that AI made content and say what's good or bad about it. That would actually help them learn to think critically about things.
That makes a lot of sense, Professor. Like in my history class, we're already doing oral presentations and debates. AI can't really help with talking and thinking on the spot. Maybe assignments should move towards things where you have to put ideas together and think originally right away, instead of just written essays.
That sounds good, but I'm still wondering about the practical side. How would professors tell the difference between using AI in a good way and just outright cheating? And what about students who can't afford to pay for good AI tools? It could create a new kind of unfairness with technology.
Those are big problems, Sarah, and the debate definitely didn't have easy answers. It's a talk we'll need to keep having as technology changes. Universities will need clear rules, and we'll have to think about making sure everyone has fair access to these tools if we expect students to use them correctly.
Exactly. What I think is most important is that it's not really about if AI is used, but how it's used. We can't stop it now, so we just need to figure out how to use it in a good way. It's definitely going to change how we learn and how we're taught.
Three students are discussing a guest lecture that impressed them at university.
Okay, so who else was blown away by Dr. Chen's lecture on AI ethics yesterday? I seriously haven't stopped thinking about it. Her ideas about data privacy when they're making AI systems were really thought provoking, and she presented a very balanced view. It kind of challenged some of the ideas I already had about the future of tech.
Definitely, Arya. I thought it was really interesting how she explained the idea of algorithmic bias. It's something we've talked about in our comp sci classes, but she showed it with real-world examples that made it so much clearer. I mean, thinking about how those biases can accidentally hurt vulnerable communities was a huge wake-up call.
I agree, George. What impressed me most wasn't just what she talked about, but how she presented it. She made such a difficult topic easy to understand and engaging, even for someone like me who's not from a tech background. The way she did the Q&A, too, was amazing. She answered every question so completely and respectfully, which isn't always the case with guest speakers.
Yeah, the Q&A was great. I also liked that she didn't avoid the controversial parts. A lot of lecturers usually skip over the really tricky ethical problems, but she just went right into them. It felt less like a lecture and more like a really deep, open discussion, which is something I rarely experience.
Exactly, George. It's changed how I see my own research project for next semester. I was planning to only focus on the technical side of machine learning, but now I'm seriously thinking about adding an ethical part to it. Her talk really showed how important it is to be responsible when we're innovating, which is something I think every field needs to consider.
For sure, Arya. As a law student, it made me think about the future laws needed to control these technologies. We're now studying data protection, but her lecture showed